Guys, in today's video I am cutting up my sansevieria. It's the mother-in-law's tongue or the snake plant, and I have it within the soil directly in this ceramic pot. There's no nursery pot, and right now it is spread out in this 12-inch pot, so it's kind of not compact how I want it to be, and it's getting really tall and it's leaning, and I just don't like the look of it. So I'm going to be propagating this up today. I have ended up with two plants. One is where the cuttings were taken from, and then I put the cuttings into the second pot, which is an 8-inch pot. I know it looks the same, but I really like the finished look. It's more compact and the height is more manageable and more uniform. So I will show you guys how I did that in today's video. I have some dried bits, and I just think that this pot and the soil is not the best for this plant anyways. And it is pretty big, but it is like leaning a lot. So I'm just gonna cut it up and try to propagate it here. And I have my water. I went ahead and used like purified water or drinking water, and I am using a rooting thing just because I want to try to make sure that these propagate. So I'm just gonna start cutting these. I have this big long one. I'll probably just cut it down here and take it, dip it in here. I still think that's pretty long. I don't know. Maybe I'll still try to cut that up. Then this one, probably cut. I feel scared to cut these. I'm gonna dip it. Place it in there. This one, probably just leave this longer. Hopefully it'll grow. This one's kind of leaning, so I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it right there. Hopefully it'll give new shoots at the bottom. On this little section, I noticed some new growth starting to happen, but then it all died and shriveled up, and I've noticed that to be happening. Looks like this one's gonna die. So I'll cut that. Probably just throw this away. Looks like it needs water. Looks like something's eating the roots. there is a bug right here. I forgot to refocus my camera for you guys, but I went ahead and continued to chop off the rest of the leaves. I did this to the whole entire plant, and before I realized that my camera also shut off, and it was just at the very end that I'm glad I pulled out a little root and found a little bit of some kind of eggs on the roots. I have no idea what these are, but I have noticed that my plant has not been growing very well, and that it also any new growth kind of is dying. So I'm assuming that this is not good. So it's been about a week later since I cut these, and I just left them on my dresser, and you can see that they dried out. What had happened is I stuck them in a vase of water, thinking that I could propagate them that way. And I'm sorry, I didn't realize my video cut out, but I stuck them in a vase of water, but I started noticing some rot. They were getting very soft. So I went ahead and cut all of that off after a couple days and just left them on my dresser. So I'm gonna try something different this time. And I'm wondering if I should cut this part off too, because it feels kind of squishy. So I'll probably just cut that off and let it callus over, I think. And so I just have another dead plant. I killed a blueberry tree. But this one has a little bit of that perlite stuff in there, so I'm just gonna go ahead and stick these right in there. I tried getting some cactus mix, but the store didn't have any, and so I just gave up my search. I didn't want to waste my time hunting any down when I already have these pots of soil. So I figured this was light enough to have this plant survive. Okay, so I'm just gonna stick these all in here. Oops. Try to do this without making a big mess.
The porcupines know the other porcupine's butt.
So I'm hoping these will all be okay. I think I'm gonna leave this one and cut this off before I put it in the dirt. But most of these are pretty calloused already.
Berry plants, I don't want to eat them.
So I'm just gonna put them right into the dirt. And I'm just trying to make sure that they're well calloused.
Oh, it actually made a better house.
And that they don't have anything squishy from when they started getting squishy in the water. So I'm just making sure that I'm checking these. I'm gonna stab that in pretty good. And since they didn't really root anything in the water, oh, you see, so this one's kind of soft, so I'm not gonna put that one in the water. I'm gonna set that to a side over here as well. I'm just gonna put them to the side. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm not gonna plant that right now. So this one looks nice and calloused. There's nothing that looks squishy or sick or rotten. This one looks good, so I'll put that right in there. This one looks pretty good as well. Try to get that in there.
Oh yeah, it was just down.
Again, that one looks pretty good. So put that in there. And looks pretty good. So I think that looks nicer than what it did before. Here's one more, and that looks good too, so I will put that in with the rest. Okay, so here I'm just making this arrangement a little bit nicer. I'm kind of just using this knife to get in there. So I think this looks a little bit better. I just want it to look pretty full, like have a full look on it. So I'm just trying to arrange these before I have to decide that I don't like it. This one's kind of hanging. Just gonna, oops, try to stab it in there. I was using this knife to try to kind of like dig a hole here and wiggle this in it. Now if you if the roots had taken in the water, that would have been pretty cool, but it would have been a little bit harder because you have to be very careful with the fragile little roots. But since these ones don't have roots, you don't have to be as gentle with it. Of course, you don't want to damage. So this method is hopefully gonna be more successful and easier anyways to like get them all in the soil. So I think that looks pretty good. It looks nice and full. And then for these ones that have this, let's scoot this back. So this one, you can kind of see it's got like, it looks mushy right there. So I'll probably just cut this at an angle, just cut that off. And I'm not gonna stick this in right away. I'm gonna let it callus over, because I think these ones, since I neglected them already for like a week, they've been on my dresser. I think I'm ready to water them. Excuse me. And then here's the other one. So you can see it's not just dry, but it's actually like squishy. So again, I'm just gonna cut the squishy part off. I'll cut it kind of at an angle since the rotten stuff is at an angle. Actually, it still looks a little bit soggy right here. I don't know how well you can see that. It's not very focused, but I can see that it's still yet pretty soft right there. So I'm just gonna cut it, and I'm gonna leave these to the side until they callus over, which should be like, you know, a couple days. I live in a pretty dry climate, so it doesn't take very long for these things to get all dry. I mean, look at my hands, they're all bust. Anyways, on the root part that I took from the original plant when my camera stopped, I just went ahead and stuck that whole thing into, this is actually an old candle thing. So I stuck some soil at the bottom and covered it with these rocks. I think I'm gonna switch this out because this doesn't have very good drainage and I don't want it to get rot. So I'll probably switch it into this thing where I had another plant die, and so I'll probably just stick, I'll probably just do it right now and just try to, I don't even think there's much soil in there. So this was one of those like string of pearls that I tried propagating, and it didn't, kind of forgot about it, got busy, summer happened. So in springtime I'm always like pretty ambitious about plants and stuff like that, and if I find that you know, if I do take care of them in the springtime, in the springtime, and then I can you know, go do stuff during the summer or whatever, then they'll be pretty happy if I propagate them like this. And by the way, I did rinse off those eggs that I found before I went ahead with potting them. So Oh my gosh. Such a mess. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of twist that in there. And then I'll try to get it a little bit further. Probably shouldn't have my MacBook right here in all of this mess. And I'm just gonna take all this, oh my goodness. Put this dirt back in here. And this is like pretty dry too. So these plants, you wanna make sure to also make sure they dry out between waterings. It's actually, I think this plant I didn't water all winter long. So, and I actually lose more leaves of this, or like, you know, whatever they're called, this stem part, the leaves, I guess, due to overwatering. So I'll come and sometimes I'll find one that's like soggy, and so I have to cut it away or, you know, just pull it out. So I've noticed that they're happier when they have less water. So definitely don't overwater these plants. You want to wait in between waterings. You want to make sure that it gets dry before you water it again. So that is that plant, and maybe I'll just put these on, and then I'll stick this down in between another little pot or something. Maybe it'll fit back in there, but I don't think so. I like to reuse my candle holders because a lot of times they're pretty, and I do have some bigger ones. I have some, you know, like the 3 candle ones or whatever. So I just use whatever I have. And these little rocks, I think I just got these from Dollar Tree. So yeah, so there's that new little plant, and I'll have to water these, and it doesn't look really great right now, but it does have these little tiny babies coming out. I think they were already growing, but there was some dying back, so I decided it needed to get a good trim, and I trimmed about 1/3 of the height too. So I'm gonna go ahead and water these. Okay, so for this plant, I'll probably just put it in here. I think that looks kind of cute. And then this one, I'll just put it in here. And I think that looks nice. That one is kind of tall. I might just cut that one just to have it like the same length. But that's what they look like now. I think it looks a lot better than it did before. It was just, I had it in a bigger pot than this, and I had it in the actual ceramic instead of in its own little pot. And so that kind of made it hard to tell where the water, how much, you know, if it was time to water or not, because I was unsure about how deep the roots were and if the bottom was dry or just the top was dry. It was just a big pot of, you know. So anyways, this is good. I'm gonna grab water. Yes?
Do you mind if we watch cast
Yeah.
Okay, what if we watch that movie, Wilson? And then, we can...
I feel like this plant is leaning a lot. That's why I didn't like it in the first place. That's why I chopped it up. But maybe I can stick some rocks in there later on to give it some more support. Yes? Yeah, I wanted to go out to the
You know what it's gonna be today?
80?
No.
90?
91.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm actually gonna cut this long one and set it aside with the other pieces because it's just, it's like the tallest one here. So I'm gonna cut it. I want it to be about the same length as these ones, so I'll probably cut this much from the bottom. So what I'm gonna do is just cut it right about here. And I'll cut it at an angle just so that, well, no, I guess not. No, just gonna cut it without thinking too much about it. There. And then I'm gonna wait for it to callus over, the same like the other ones. And then when I put this into the dirt, it'll be nice, a nice match on the length. So I'm gonna set this aside. I have them on my counter by the coffee maker right now. So I'm just gonna let that callus over. In about 3 days, I will stick that into the dirt. Hey, real quick, I also chopped up my monstera plant. It's that split leaf plant. Anyways, I am working on editing that video for you guys. So if you're interested in this type of video, keep an eye out. It will be coming soon. So I ended up switching to a different candle holder just so that I like this one because you can see the rocks. And it doesn't look great because it's all chopped off here, but I mean, I'm just glad that I have these. This is all the stems that I had spread out into a bigger pot like this. So just the fact that it's more compact and they're together, I really like the look of this better. And so I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. And that is the video, guys. I hope that you enjoyed. I will give you an update on any new growth or any new death of these plants. If you would be interested in seeing that, let me know in the comments below, and I will show you that. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. This is where my new plant lives momentarily. It's not getting much sun here, so I will probably take it out in a couple days whenever I remember. But I just wanted to remind you that I did water it when I first put it in here, but I'm not going to water it again because I don't want it to drown it doesn't have any roots yet, so I don't want it to get root rot. It doesn't need much water right now. So I'll probably keep it moist for a little bit, for a couple days, and then I'll keep it like this and check it in a couple days to see if it's dry, and I'll moisten it again. But just a reminder to don't soak this right now or ever.